All right, Jason, we're live. I'm gonna text Ralph, see if he's hopping on. We'll give you. No one's in here yet, so we'll give it a few.
All right.
Oh wait, Ralph just texted me, asked me if I was on yet. So you been busy today?
Man, we were working out in Oyster Bay. It was so freaking hot.
I bet. Yeah, we John and I was working dogs early this morning. It was brutal first thing.
Yeah, 9 a.m. I could wring my shirt out, no problem.
Yeah. So yes. Well, I'm going to. I guess we'll just go ahead and get started. I may wait, try to reach out to him one more time.
Okay.
He's trying to get on. He's having issues. Good evening, Joe Tenney. We give it a few minutes. Ralph's trying to get. Oh, here he is. Hey, Ralph.
Got it.
Finally joined us.
Been trying.
Hey, it's bad when Jason Byer can figure it out before you can.
Yeah.
Hey, with a cell phone.
Yeah. Might have been easier.
Yeah.
How you doing, Jason?
I'm good, sir. How you?
Oh, already?
So, Ralph, we talked about tonight. What we were going to. Our topic was going to be training, coaching, and developing. So I
We're gonna do
invited
all
Jason
that,
on.
Jason?
Well, Jason's one of them. Hey, good evening, Bob. We've got do not disturb on stuff still coming through. Yeah, so one thing I wanted to talk about, there's been some questions about, how we like to, I guess you'd say our mentorship program has been a hot topic, especially for PA this week, as they're making some changes within their organization. I guess I shouldn't say organization, but their tracking community. So Jason, I thought it would be great to bring you on board for several reasons. One of them is you are the head of the mentorship slash apprenticeship program for the Florida Blood Trailing Network, correct?
Yep, I am.
And you were one of the first ones to go through the new program.
Yep, you were my
And what's that?
you were my mentor.
Yes, correct. And throughout all this, there's been questions about how we do it, what we do, why are we doing it, and we have taken the same approach because it has been so successful with the Florida Blood Trailing Network that we brought that into the American Blood Tracking Association when it comes to judging and choosing, training, coaching, and developing judges as well, which you have been involved in all of that.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, Jason, I think a lot of people on here knows you, but if you don't mind, give a little bit of background. What got you into tracking?
Probably like a lot of y'all, I lost a deer, and I had a tracker come find it for me, and it blew my mind. And then, matter of fact, I met you, Ralph, the Keefers. We sponsored the winter warrior hunt for many years, and you guys came track for us the following year, and I was hooked. As Ralph said, you just get hooked, and watching you guys work and all the different techniques, I was like, man, this is cool. And then my wife brought home a dog that I can actually work with, and I'm like, here we go. So um, that's why.
So, and I believe the first person that tracked for you was Mike Alguire, correct?
Yep. So matter of fact, I I shot a deer with a 270 short mag, and I had my scope set for about 400 yards, and I could not get a shot on the deer. It was during the rut, and so I was going to go prone on the ground. So I was getting down from my stand. I saw my other target buck standing 70 yards from me, and I had my scope maxed out at 18 power, and he was staring right at me. He saw me move, and I waited till he got ready to take a shot. I took a perfect shot, but it didn't bleed. Nothing. The only deer I've never found at that. Like we found it, but there was no blood, no nothing. I thought I could not believe I missed that deer. So Mike came a couple hours later, and there was literally 20 something deer standing right where I shot that deer at about 3 hours later. And I told Mike, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to waste your time. And he said, "What do you mean?" And then he told me about the interdigital land, and that's and he found the deer probably 15 minutes later, and there was no blood until probably the last 40 yards before we got to the deer. So,
So the reason I brought his name up is some of you may know this, some of you may not. I actually tracked a deer for Mike. That's how Mike got into tracking. I tracked a deer for him. And the next year he got a bloodhound, and I helped Mike along the way, along with other people. But I wanted to share that because look at the impact it made. Not, Mike called me, I helped Mike, I helped Mike along with training, along with some other people. And then, several years or a couple of years down the road, Mike went out and tracked for you, and now you're here with us.
Yep.
Dang it, Mike.
And Perry Lawrence says me too, which I guess you can blame me because I had to go track that deer for Mike. But no, I wanted to share that because look at the impact it's made across the tracking community. Just in that short a time.
Yep.
Perry Lawrence chimed in, said him, you, Mike, Ralph. So that is what's so crucial and important about our mentorship program. And Jason, since then, so your first year, I remember when you got your dog. How many mock tracks would you say you did with your dog before that first season?
I know people think I'm lying, but I would say 4 to 5 a week on an average, sometimes 2 a day. My wife's the ER nurse, and so she worked nights, and so I did mock tracks, and my dog loved it. I mean, and I remember calling you and Ralph said you're not challenging her enough. Do something different. Same thing with the keepers. I asked them, you're not challenging them enough. So I would put scent gaps in it, more 90s, uphill, through water, and I just did it for fun. I really enjoyed watching her work, and so that's why I did so many. I mean, I think every time I did one, I learned something new watching her, and also what to expect in the real world. I was scared out of my mind. I'm not gonna lie. I was so afraid I was gonna screw her up, and that's why I think I called so many different people. I even called oh my goodness, Al Sherman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so and then everybody on the way. I mean, a lot of people helped me. That's for sure.
Yeah, and your first year, how many tracks did you go on your first season?
119.
119 your first season.
Yep, 119 tracks. Yep.
And how many different trackers did you work with?
I worked with, so I was eager beaver. I called everybody I can call that wouldn't mind me coming, and so I went with 13 actual different trackers. My first year tracking, 13. I went with anybody that would let me go. And sometimes we wouldn't use my dog. Sometimes we would. Sometimes they would leave their dogs in the box and just let me work. Or like I said, I'd leave DG in the truck and I would watch them work, and I got to learn that way too. But yeah, 13 different trackers from all over, from Georgia to Florida. So.
And this past season, what was that number 2 for you?
Yep, last year was my second season.
And how many tracks did you go on?
121.
So you were almost 250 tracks in 2 years.
Yep, that's correct.
That's more than the average person would go on in 5 years.
It's a working mentorship program and interviewing all the different trackers. I would say that's, yeah, probably about 5 to 6 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I know you've heard it, and Ralph, I know you've heard it. There's been some naysayers questioning, how are you taking someone that has only been doing this 2 years and putting them in a position to be over a program for the mentorship and apprenticeship on our state organization? That right there is why.
Yep.
You've been through it, you've been an asset, you've worked your butt off, and how many times did I call you last year to back me up?
We went together a bunch, a
Yeah.
bunch, a bunch. I mean, but sometimes it's necessary. I mean, sometimes you start questioning things, or you wonder, well, doggone, my dog might be burned out. I mean, I've already went on 6 tracks today. And we're done. Kenny, you come. Ralph, you come. I mean, that's how we work as a network. And see, the mentorship program isn't just trying to get your name to be on a list. It's to basically to prove that you are capable of working with the general public, that you're trustworthy, that you're honest, that your dog is not just a dog. And I think it's made a humongous difference. I think we had 33 apprentices this year. Um, and I believe most of those were probably going to, will be full-time trackers for this upcoming year. But of course, I got to make sure everything's good with y'all. But I mean, but this was a daily thing. I
Yeah.
would I would talk to them or their mentor. I was talking to their mentor pretty regularly. They would give me feedback back and forth, and some people just they just weren't. Once they realized, man, this is a lot of work, they'd back out. That's okay. That's fine. But there's a
Yeah.
lot of guys that, I mean, Charlie Webb, David Lassiter, Mikey over there in Central Florida. There's so many different people that just excelled through the program last year. I mean,
Oh
just
yeah.
excelled. And I would
So
have those back for me any day.
right. And Ralph, I have a question for you. You've been involved with our organization a while now. Um, what impact would you say that this program has had as a whole with the tracking community?
It definitely brings the trackers together. It also, it's an overwhelming impact to the hunters too. I mean, it's like up here with us now. It's grown from, we had a couple around here to where now we've got 5 or 6 around here, but we're getting more calls than we ever have. And
Right.
the hunters, it's, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but they don't go looking. They know who to call, and they get us, and all they got to do is catch one of us, and if we're busy, we get another one. So they know in a matter of minutes. They know they've got reputable people coming,
That's right.
and
And they know if we're sending some, if we can't make it, we're sending someone. They know we're sending someone that's
absolutely,
capable.
yep. And then like with the apprentices coming in, good night, man. It stays, because now I'm not just dealing with my tracks. They're getting some from their friends, but they need me to go so that I can help them, not help them, but to watch them, to advance them, because it doesn't do them any good just to go on a track. We need to be with them. So now I'm dealing with their tracks. So it
Yeah.
gets freaking busy. I mean,
Oh
and
yeah.
and half the time, if I know they're waiting on me to go with them, but I got a track, I'll tell them to come with me, and they'll come with me, then we'll go to their track. So we're kind of, I like Jason, we're kind of stupid that way.
Yeah.
I don't give a crap. I'm going. It's kind of funny. I don't mean to sound like we're talking about like from the Pennsylvania. I don't have a very big what you call it, phone interview. It's making sure the wait times are there and we're coming. It's gone. I mean, we just put you on the list to get to. And if I can't, we're going to put you off to somebody else. But
Right.
I mean, geez, I think one day last year, I don't do this every weekend by no means, but I think I did 11 in one 24-hour period. That ain't doing them all either. That's in the height of the rut and it's slamming. So it's just go do all you can, and everybody else is that busy too. So it's, but it's fun. We love it. So that's what we live for. Sleeping in the Walmart parking lot.
Oh yeah. And so as successful as hang on just a second. Sorry, there was a puppy making some noise over there. Anyways,
hey, is Bob supposed to join in?
Brand, he can if he wants. I know Brandon will be in a minute. One thing I wanted to touch on is, as we saw this program unfold and how successful it was, and Ralph, as we were judging with another in another facet, we saw some issues with the way that some of the people were advanced there, and we sat down, we said, you know what, we have a successful program in place of developing young or newer trackers into a quality tracker that we can we will recommend to the public. So we took that program and we kind of reshaped that to fit our judging and testing program. And Jason was one of them that went through that.
Yeah.
And Ralph, I think safe to say that you heard some things, questions about, why are you choosing Jason? He's only been tracking 2 years.
Yeah.
And people came to me and said the same thing. Well, as you guys just heard, you heard it as well, Jason?
About a dozen times.
Yeah. So you just heard the reason why. In those 2 years, you went on 250 tracks. You worked with numerous other handlers. You put in the time. You had more knowledge in 2 years than I've seen people that's been tracking 10 years have. And that's why we chose you.
Yeah, plus you get chosen, but you're getting chosen from the people that have a desire to do it.
That's right.
That's a big factor, because as like we're helping Pennsylvania start theirs, they don't realize how busy this gets. Yeah, I mean, this gets busy, and especially with as many trackers as we have and as many people want to come in, man, this ain't no just 5 minutes a day stuff. This is a lot of keeping up with it. And so you got to have somebody that's capable and wants, more than anything, they'll want to, because if you don't have want to, it don't matter how capable you are, you're going to get left behind, or it's going to overwhelm you. And so all that gets thrown into the equation there.
That's right. And while John and I were laying these lines and trying them out in different aspects.
We forgot to ask him if he had a computer today.
Yeah. Yeah. So, another reason why we chose him is, like you said, he was eager, he was energetic, he put in the time. I mean, going with that many different trackers, going on that many tracks, and even
he was able to handle people well, talk to people well.
That's right. That's right. And when John and I were putting out these test lines and critiquing some things, and especially when you get into the season and the finish lines, Jason said, "Hey, do you mind if I come over and run my dog? Do you mind if I come help lay him?" And he wasn't even a judge yet.
Mhm.
And he jumped right in. Well, Jason, I want to ask you a question. Did we, you know, our current process to become a judge, did we cut any corners for you?
No, I was the guinea pig. It was 10 times worse for me. I mean, I got to work your dogs, clients' dogs, watch you lay lines, watch John lay lines, why you do it this way, why you're looking for. Oh man, I had it rough. I mean, no doubt. But it was good though because I learned. You know, I mean, I. Ralph said this before. He loves watching dogs. I love it. I can watch a dog better than any. I'd rather watch a dog
And there he
than
goes.
any TV program there is, because you learn. I think it's cool when a dog wants to track, because
Yep.
when a dog wants to track, it's eager, it's excited, it knows it's its job, and you can see it in his demeanor. To me, that is the coolest thing ever. And that's something when I started hanging out with you, I was like, man, this is fun. Ooh, this is really cool. Look at that dog. Ooh, that dog is on. Ooh, that dog is off. That handler,
Yeah.
has no idea. That handler has no idea his dog is off. Look at him. He's just walking away. And so, but you learn really fast, you know, and you start picking up different characteristics. You know, being able to work with different dogs and different handlers, you get to see what works and what doesn't work.
Right.
And I try to apply that to how I track. I try to apply it in how I judge. I try to apply that on even on different scenarios, working with through a phone call from somebody else of what to look for. I mean, I am like I've only done this for 2 years. That's it. But I've seen a lot of dogs
Yeah.
in those 2 years. I am not gonna. I will never be a Kenny Mullins or a Ralph Bennett or a Lindsay Kiefer. I'm the only BJ survivor. That's it. And those guys, you
Well,
guys work dogs way more than I ever thought of, and probably than I can. Um, but it's fun, and it's exciting, and it's something that I'm going to do until I can't. So
well, let me ask you this, Jason. How many dogs have you tested since you became a judge this year? How many dogs have you tested in the last year?
somewhere probably 25, 30. I don't know. I think I've done 17 private tests, or 15 to 17 private tests, somewhere in there. And then
You got more than that, then, because you wear us. You get wore out at these events.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I don't know, maybe 40. I don't know.
Yeah. I would say it's probably about
40,
40.
50. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right because the Stockton event, I think I did 11 at Stockton.
Yeah. Whew.
Yeah. So, and this last week or 2 weeks ago, I did 7
Six,
seasons or 6
6 or
seasons and 1
7.
finished. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we did the Louisiana. There's 5 more. So yeah, fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll get away from you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll tell
So
you
I
that.
would say you're more than experienced all the way around in just 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoy it. I can watch a dog every day, all day long. It's just funny. That's something Ralph you told me. It's like, man, watch that dog. Look at him. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Look at that sucker go. It's a cool. And I don't care if it's a tackle or a German Shepherd. They're all fun to watch. So.
Yeah.
Right. And it's probably, and I can say for myself, and I think every judge, no matter what organization you're with or what type of dogs you're judging, um, it makes you a better handler. Just
Oh,
sitting back and
Oh,
watching makes you a
absolutely.
better handler.
Yep.
And just like Trudy, she tagged along on several test lines in Pennsylvania. She didn't test a dog, but she tagged along with me on several. And she even said afterwards that she learned from that.
yeah.
You know, so with that said, we shared your experience and how you became a judge, and you're a tremendous asset to the organization. Um, in fact, I'm gonna tell on you a little bit with the Ralph here. Um, Jason looked at that sheet and he started to whine a little bit. He's like, "Why do I have all these season tests? I don't have any started tests." I said, "You know why, Jason? Because Ralph knows that you're going to get it done and you're going to get it done properly. That's why."
Yep.
So even though it looked like you had a huge workload, and you did have a big workload,
But Kenny, but
but
also what you said the other day is I'd rather judge a seasoned over a started because you get to work, you get to watch different scenarios with that dog. You know, it's. I mean, it's not. I like doing the starter too because it's quick and fun. But you learn a lot in that 800 to 1,000 yards. You know.
oh yeah.
Plus,
So
I mean, we're
yeah,
talking about how things work out in that type of stuff. But, like me, I'm running all the tests
Yep.
from an administration end of things. Well, that desire, I mean, like Jason Bell loves to run the started, so you
yeah,
kind of try to get things where people like doing it.
Yep.
You got to look at the experience. So it's not all what one person wants. You got to kind of juggle and make everybody happy, judges, everybody, to
Yep.
where it's fun for them too, to a degree. So you get to learn some of that stuff working with other people, all the judges, and we try to, like I said, Jason Bell, that's where he feels like he's in his element. Well, I want him to feel that way till he was ready to jump up to a season
Right.
to
right.
do it.
Yep.
But you can tell he'd sure rather run those started. So I load him up with started,
Yep.
just because I know he can hammer them out. And you just got to feel comfortable because whether you're running the test, running the track, or actually taking the test, being the tracker, as the comfort level, and you can tell from everybody that changes. Everybody has different levels of that how nervous they are, and judges get nervous too. You
Oh
can see
yeah.
face. So you just try to work all that stuff out, and it helps. And we learn every time we go out and do things. I did some things this time that was different than we did last, and it worked well to me. So we're honing the way we're doing things, but
Yeah.
it also works when you got guys wanting to do their part. So it just all works together. It's just a blast. And it's like Jason Byers said a little earlier, he does a lot of that stuff that he does coming over. Me and Jason Bell do it. We don't want to miss out. I don't want to hear about somebody else out there doing something. Oh no.
Right. So
And
so
we don't even need to be invited. We're going to just dive in.
oh yeah. So with that said, and that it's the same way with tracking. It's we Jason Meyer, you know this. I'm quick to give an easy track away to take that tough one because
Yeah.
that's what I enjoy. I want that challenge.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's times where I like the easy wins, but I really really like those tough tracks.
Yep. I agree.
Um,
I can
so
bet.
with that said, I want to bring on Brandon. We had Brandon on last week, and go ahead and I'm gonna bring him up.
Hey
And
guys.
Brandon was on
Hey,
last
Brandon.
week, and he talked about how he enjoyed the event in Pennsylvania, and shared his experience with testing, and Brandon, you shared some things that you learned that you didn't know. You were, don't take this the wrong way, but you were ignorant to it. You don't know what you don't know, what you've never been taught or you never heard, and you shared that.
Right.
And that led to some questions from people like, well, why are you making this guy a judge? Why are you allowing him to apprentice as a judge when he's admitted that he doesn't know, he isn't green? Well, what we like is those people that aren't afraid to admit that, hey, I don't know something, but I'm willing to work my butt off, and I'm willing to do what it takes. And Brandon, what have you been doing all week?
I've been laying tracks all week, um, getting familiar with everything, so on and so forth. Um, and that's the thing. Everybody is new at one point in time.
Yep.
And that's the thing. And West Virginia's only been doing this for 3 to 5 years, I believe. Um, and everything's new. And in all honesty, the names are kind of misleading in such a way. You got bloodhounds, you got blood trackers this, blood trackers that, blood. Well, go ahead and try to sell a interdigital gland sent blood tracking dog. A distraught hunter, I'm going to type in blood tracking dog.
Yeah.
It's misleading. But I always did incorporate the hoof and the interdigital gland. I was just kind of ill informed on exactly what it did, and with the track that Kenny laid for me was a huge eye opener for me. The blood was 2 or 3 foot away, and we was running parallel with it, and the dog was on the interdigital.
And I
All
did that intentionally.
yeah, I mean, and that opened my eyes. I always did run with a hoof, but I would just kind of like let the blood drip down the hoof. You got the best of both worlds. Well, the blood doesn't do anything. You know, um, it opened my eyes. Believe me, it did. And everybody has their own ways and their own quirks and things like that. And no two tracks are going to be the same. So,
Right. So,
yeah,
as and you came to us and you said, "Hey, I'm interested in doing this. I want to learn."
yes.
And
Hmm.
and we laid out the criteria,
Hmm.
and you have been laying lines every day. When you ran into situations, what did you do?
But if I had any questions, I FaceTime you and you walked me through it, whether it was Garmin related or app related, so on and so forth. What exactly do you want? And just like this evening, um, I laid one and I messed it up. I ain't gonna lie, but that's why you have these criteria we got to meet. Um, you
And you're
got to
not
know
just
how.
pushed through, right? You're having to earn it.
Well, yeah, it's not. It's definitely not given by any means. No, it's not given. And the thing is, you guys, you guys are there to help me. I just have to reach out and get my answers and get my information.
Yep.
You guys ain't going to give it away. That's for sure. Even the tracks, you're not going to give them away. You
No.
got to earn. You got to earn the started. You got to earn the season, so on and so forth.
Oh yeah. And
And
yeah,
I've
I
been
just
saying this, hang on just a second. People think, like let's say you, Kenny,
yep.
we had to fail Kenny. We said that at the Pennsylvania event. We
Oh
had to
yeah.
fail Kenny on a test. The dog just wasn't. You can bet if I'm gonna fail Kenny, you ain't getting nothing given to you.
Right. Right. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So we're all in it for the same thing, and nobody gives nothing.
Right.
Matter
Oh,
of
well,
fact,
that's
you
like
talk
what
to
Joe said.
Jason, it's a little harder for us.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Joe said last week that he hated to do it, but that's part of the guidelines. One of the dogs had one too many callbacks, and I mean, it is what it is. You're not going to give it away.
Well, you can tell Jason when he ran his season up there in Pennsylvania, that was a gimme.
yeah. I still think about that doggone crap. And the look on Kenny's face when I turned around and called him a name.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you had some colorful words for me there.
He, he even
But
come back and got on me.
and it really was a challenge, but I'd never stepped outside of the criteria.
Someone else asked me that. I said, "Why did you have to do all that? Should have been a finish test." Well, no, it's just what it was. It was the extreme of everything, like putting a zigzag on a highway. Didn't say that, but I mean, it's still. I
How
mean,
many of y'all
what's
have
that?
tracked a deer across the highway?
Oh yeah, well
Well,
once,
it
twice,
happened.
yeah. It was not 5 times, but okay.
It was only three.
Yeah, but like
yeah, and that's part of it. It's the challenge you're giving each other in a good manner. You know what I mean? It's not. You're not going to bash one another or bash your
No.
dog or whatever. It's all learning. And
Yep.
getting along.
Right.
So
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and Brandon, we appreciate you coming on because, as you know, up there in your region, more so in PA right now, we've been working with a lot of the guys and gals there,
Mhm.
um, because there's a lot of new trackers there, and honestly, people haven't been tracking that long, and there's a lot of misconceptions, and we've been doing this a long time. You name it, we've seen it. We've made good decisions, we made bad decisions, we've learned the hard way with most of it, and we're stepping in and willing to step up and share that knowledge so that people doesn't have to do it the hard way. We've been doing that with you as well in your new endeavor.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
not on the judge side, but as you're developing a network of trackers in your region, your state.
Mhm.
Um, so I wanted to share that tonight so that people can have an understanding of, we are out here to educate. That has been our goal from day one. That very first event we had in Fargo, Georgia was what, 8 hours of nothing but handler training, from
No
first
dogs.
aid to how to train a dog, how to choose a dog, first aid, snake avoidance. We had a vet speak on emergency care, health and nutrition for the dogs. We had a human first aid, stop the bleed, and all that. I mean, we went all out, and that has been our goal from day one, is to educate.
Mhm.
And with that said, this week, 2 nights in a row, Ralph, you and I were on conference calls with people for over 2 hours, correct?
Yep. Yep.
All to help grow that tracking community and help develop them. And today I was on the phone with someone for an hour and a half. Well, I reached out to Ralph. I said, hey, with all this that's going on, we need to make another trip back north. And we're planning that now. Because people want to learn, that they want the education, they need the education. And we talk about testing all the time. And what is our testing designed to do? Educate.
Mhm.
We're evaluating, we're educating, we're helping coach and develop these teams.
And I will say this too, because I do this with other things. I do competition shooting and different things, but we're talking about having like a handler's class. And there might be some people thinking, well, I've tracked for years and I've ran so many tracks. And this, if you get one thing out of one event that can help you, it was worth it. I don't care what it is, what you're doing, whether it's like me shooting, or you could go somewhere that somebody might have a trick for you for your for your outfitting, for, your captain's stuff that take people fishing. You do
Yep.
that, pick one thing up, and I guarantee you there's enough experience that when all of us get together, you're going to figure something out that you haven't never thought of or never seen before, and it's going to help. Man, you're going to use that the rest of your life. And
Right.
I just, it's fun to me, because I look forward to, especially if we get somebody new that you never know, might be one little thing that helps you. And if you're willing to look at things that way, all these things become fun to me.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So with that said, we're right now we're looking at mid to late August, going back to Pennsylvania, and we are going to um, put together a seminar much like the Fargo, Georgia, no dogs.
Yeah.
We don't want the distractions. This is a let's get together, let's get to work. We got a big presentation that we're working on, that's going to take you from, like I said, from choosing a dog all the way to advanced tactics.
Right.
It's going to be pretty big hit.
Yeah, it's
Um,
good to see. It's good to see somebody out there willing to teach all
Yeah.
the way from picking the dog to you know full force.
I agree, Brandon. I mean, without experience from these guys, I would be nothing. I mean, think of how many deer that are recovered by Ralph and Kenny alone. Just think about
Oh
last
yeah.
year. That's hundreds and hundreds of deer that would have rotted in the woods.
Hmm.
So the
Yep.
experience these guys have are next to none. I think, Kenny, how long have you been tracking for?
Over 20 years.
Over 20 years.
Wow.
That's
Now that wasn't always with the dog that I trained myself. I will, but that doesn't matter. It's dog experience, you know.
no, it is. Yep. That's a ton of experience. You can't be that's and for us to be able to expand with our experience and let talk about it and share with it. We don't want secrets. We're here to help people.
Right.
Any of them. That's the whole key is the only way that we'll get better is through knowledge and experience and talking about it and working through these scenarios. And
Hmm.
that's why it makes it a great organization. So
Yeah, and you know, those of you who've been to our events, and Darren Miner says mid-August in PA, hot, hot, hot. This will be in an air-conditioned
Yeah.
environment. Again, no dogs. It's going to be in an air-conditioned environment, and we are going to have a blast. And everyone will tell you that has been to the events, and just like the Fargo one, um, it's not just sit there and listen to us talk. We want you interacting. It's conversations. We have some interactive stuff. This is going to be a big one. It's there's going to be a lot to learn, a lot to share, and you know it's not always just about the event. If you guys are traveling, like Renee said, let me know so I can make a hotel reservation. Well, guess what we're going to be doing before, after, and the next day? We'll be sitting around talking tracking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I know you guys need to come back to West Virginia during the season. Talking about sleeping along the road and sleeping in Walmart parking lots. It's happened.
Oh, yeah.
yep. So right now, our focus has been on the development and training and teaching of trackers.
Mhm.
And you know, part of our mission statement is reaching out and to the hunting community and educating the hunting community. Well, where do we start? We start by teaching these trackers and developing these trackers, which are the ones out in the field developing and teaching and training these hunters, because there's a process there. I mean, no one does it better than Jason Bell. He has his hunters trained like you wouldn't believe, and that's why Ralph rides Jason's
You're
piggyback.
darn right.
They don't even get out of the stand and they're calling, bring the dogs. Yeah. So
Yeah, pick your friends wisely.
yeah.
that's right. So that's why, you know, although you may not see us out there in the hunting community right now, I have been to many expos. I have spoke at expos. I've spoke on podcasts. I spoke on radio shows. I talk on radio show. I do a radio show every week on iHeart. Um, so I am out there educating the hunting community and spreading the word. But the best way to do that is through the trackers that have boots on the ground. If you guys are educated properly, you're going to pass that along, and that's our goal with our apprenticeship mentorship program. Not just as judges, but as trackers as a whole, which is what we are helping Bob and Chris do in Pennsylvania right now. We're helping Brandon do it in Virginia, West Virginia. Um, and we've got a whole program put together. We got PowerPoint presentations, we got documents, and we're going to share that with everyone. And you know, Vicky's on now. Vicky is actually, I mean, Vicky was on the plane helping find us a place to host this at. Vicky goes above and beyond. So we got some comments and questions coming in. We'll jump on those real quick. Randy Colson says, I own both Lab and Bloodhound. Both are magnificent trackers. Only issue is after finding wounded deer or dead deer, most of these customers are denial when they think they shot a stud but find out it's a dud.
Yeah.
On top of that, they try to tell you how to use your dog that you train, not worth the hassle. It happens all the time. You know, don't let it get you down. Just keep going, and
Let your dog prove them wrong.
that's right. That's right. Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that because we incorporate that into our tests, don't we?
We
You know, Jason, I gave you a hard time along your test line. I had you second guessing stuff, didn't I?
Oh, you even saying, Jason, are you sure you're on the line?
Yeah,
Well,
but
yes,
hunters do
like
that.
I'm on the line.
oh yeah.
Yeah, hunters do that. So that's, we're making it as realistic as we can.
I've had them get downright mad because you're not following. Their wife shot it and she said it did this, so he's backing her up, and he's getting mad because I'm like, the dude didn't go that way, and they literally, you could, until you show them the blood,
Yep.
and then they're like, oh crap, well, you don't have no more problems after that.
That's right.
Yeah, Ralph,
So,
we had Jeff and I had one last year where guy shot it early in the morning. His son shot it, and we waited till probably 6 or 7 o'clock the following night to go, or that night to go look for it. And we get there, and the road to it was plowed. So everything was all plowed. And I asked them, I said, did y'all plow this today? Oh yeah, we're waiting on you to come, so we plowed it. I'm like, well, how do you know the deer didn't go? Oh, the deer goes to that bottom. That's where they always go. I said, well, did you find it then? Well, no. I said, well, you said it's in the bottom, so just let us keep looking. And so we're looking, and DG and Jeff's dogs were circling the wrong way. We went nowhere near that bottom. We couldn't see any blood because it was all plowed. And so, the dog, DG's really got a nose inside the plowed dirt, moving it. And he's cussing up a storm, saying we wasted all day for his son's big deer, and I mean he was just cussing and moaning, and Jeff was getting pretty frustrated, and so as you can tell, so I'm working. Also, DG crosses the road again. Almost now we're made a big circle right behind the guy's deer stand, and there's a barbed wire fence. Well, she gets ready to crawl into the barbed wire fence. Well, that part wasn't plowed. And he's just, we're just letting me just take you back to your truck. And I'm like, okay, let's just go here to this fence. We go over to the barbed wire fence, puddle of blood right under the fence. So I told you. And he was, the look on his face, and he just felt ashamed, 100% felt ashamed. So, but I mean, you get people like that all the time. So.
oh yeah. Yeah. And,
And
so
you got to learn to work through that with them and not have a bad situation.
Yep.
It's not funny to them.
No.
And so you got to figure out how to work through it. Well, that's a lot of, well, how did you handle it? Well, how did you handle it? That's the sitting around talking a lot at these things that you can get some little insights on how to deal with some crazy people.
Yep.
oh yeah. Yeah.
That guy turned out to be, we cracked for him 3 more times.
Oh yeah.
And,
There won't be a problem after the first.
So he was pretty embarrassed for sure. So.
Yeah. So we had a comment from Matthew Berger. Said, spot on, Ralph. If you are not always looking to learn something, as subtle as it may be, you will stay as close to the bottom as you will to the top.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's that goes along with a lot of the conversations we've had over the last couple of days. There's some new stuff, new to that these people haven't seen before, and we're taking time, we're educating them, and it's opening their eyes. And like, I didn't see it from that perspective, but now I see why you're doing this. But the knee jerk reaction was, oh, I don't want no part of this. And then taking that time to explain what's going on, why we're doing it, it's, then it opens their eyes. And, those are the type of people you want on your team.
Yep.
I understand the knee jerk reactions. I get it. It's what you do after that. And one thing we do in our groups, and Ralph, this is your saying, when something comes up, there's some kind of issue, drama, whatever it may be, we put out the fire.
Yep.
We don't ask questions. We put out the fire. We may remove someone from our group or whatever. Doesn't mean we're not going to add them back. But right then we're putting out the fire, and then we'll get to the root cause.
Yeah.
Yep. It's most of the time it's attitude. You just got to stop the attitude, stop it right now, get
Yep.
rid of it so that you can move forward. Because with this social media, son, it can get out of hand in a second.
Oh yeah, and not
yeah.
just the trackers. Mostly the
Yeah, a lot
hunters.
of us. Oh, absolutely. Yep.
And Joe Tenney says trackers help boost the local hunting economy as well. Gas stations, butchers, taxidermy. Oh yeah, and not just that, Joe. Conservation.
Yep.
You know, Jason, I believe we did the math. I think right here, we're what about an hour apart, hour and 15 minutes,
Yeah.
and there's 8 or 9 trackers within an hour right here where we're at.
Yeah.
And if I remember right, there was just over 900 deer recovered,
Wow.
or just under 900. I'm sorry, just under 900 deer recovered within an hour of where I live.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's huge when it comes to conservation.
Yep.
That's just one small area.
Yep.
And another thing that we kind of touch on it, but another thing that to me that's probably some of my funnest tracks that you really, when say a Jason or you've called me to come back you up, just something ain't going right. You figured it, come. I don't give a crap if it's 2 a.m. I'm going. That's the ones that I'm going to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Man, that's fun. Just to give your buddy that's a fellow tracker peace of mind, or make him look good in front of his customer, the hunter, that he's willing to go above and beyond and call somebody, well, I want him to look good. So I'll go back him up in a second. Most of the time, it's just the way he ended it. And I didn't do nothing different, but we had another set of good dogs come in there. And now the guy goes home going, crap, I screwed up. When he didn't have that feeling. And so backing him up makes the other tracker look good. If you're willing to do all that, man, there ain't nothing that's not fun. It's just a blast doing
Right.
all
It's
that.
it's a brotherhood. Be
Uh,
brothers, keepers.
Yep. Networking.
Yep.
Networking.
And people ask me all the time, how far will you go? Probably depends on if I know you. If I know you, there ain't many limits. I'm pretty
No,
sure.
I have driven 4 hours to track a deer for someone because they were hunting in a place that was peak of the rut. Every tracker I knew was backed up. I mean, bad. And I told him, I said, look, I'm at my nephew's birthday dinner. This was at 9 o'clock at night. I said, when we get done here, I'm coming to you. And we drove 4 hours. So we left here about 10 o'clock at night. We drove 4 hours. It took us about 3 hours to get the deer. We'd recovered the deer, and then we had to drag it out of some terrible, terrible stuff. And I think I got home at like 9 o'clock the next morning. And he said, "What do I owe you?" I said, "Not a dime." And so I got home. I got home, went to bed. I woke up. I had a text message that said, "Hey, check over your visor." Not only did he tip me very well, um, there's been a couple of times he manages a towing company. There's been a couple of times where I've had issues, and he sent tow trucks out there and not charged me a dime. So the services are very rewarding. Even though, I mean, I didn't do it for that. I didn't ask for any money. I did it just to help.
Yep.
My AC. I said this one time before. My AC went out. Someone I tracked a deer for came that night because I posted on Facebook that every AC company was 3 weeks out. Well, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's the middle of summer. It's 100 degrees outside, and he came that night and got me going because I tracked a deer for him.
Yep.
So got another comment from Gene Ferris because this is going to lead into something else I wanted to touch on. Said, I've had one to tell me my dog wasn't going where the deer went. I told him she stopped at a different spot. He goes, well, she ain't on the deer. Well, we sat there for a while before I said, I'm going to get my dog. Needless to say, she had ate a good bit of that deer. So many times, I know every one of you has experienced this. The hunter says the deer didn't go that way. but your dog was right. The deer went the opposite direction where they thought they saw it go. Well, there's a big debate going across the country about drones. If the hunter says the deer went right, the dog's saying it went left, the dog recovered the deer. Which ways are they going to direct that drone guy?
Yep.
So that's another advantage of the dog. And I hate to get off on that tangent, but I was just having this conversation with a couple other people. Something to keep in mind if there's any hunters out there watching that, the nose knows.
Oh yeah.
Perry Lawrence said, "I'm not ashamed to call someone behind me either, just to make sure. I've called Laura Rogers behind me a few times." And that's another example. Perry Lawrence was Laura Rogers' mentor, if I remember correctly. I know he was involved in that. Well, look at the relationship that they built. And, now he calls her to back him up. I've called Jason to back me up. Ralph, I've called you several times, and I think you just go because you want to find one behind me.
I'm still waiting.
So,
But
there's a bunch of comments coming in.
And it gets around here. I mean, me and Jason do it all the time. I'll drive to Homerville. That's an hour and a half away from me. I don't care. If somebody needs me, I'm coming. It's just, it's fun. And, sometimes I go and watch their dog and I don't even turn mine out. I just, all right, give me the situation. I don't even care to know it before I get there. We'll just find out when I get there. And half the time we'll just let him run his dog, especially if it's a puppy on something that should be fairly simple. Something just went wrong. In the heat of the moment, somebody wasn't thinking as rational as they should have, and they missed something. And that stuff just happens all the time. It's just neat and fun. I love it, but also I'm the kind, I love people to depend on me. That's fun to me.
Yeah. And Coda Stewart chimed in, and Coda said, "I agree completely. I have made more contacts from tracking deer for folks, great friends, and exchanging goods and services with each other. People that I would have never met if it wasn't for this community."
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And it's, Gene Ferris says, "Tom Hill and myself called for backup when we first started. We got the deer along with the other tracker." It's networking is key, and this apprenticeship mentorship program that we provide and offer, that's what it's designed to do, is build those relationships within the tracking community. Break down those barriers. Jason's been a tremendous part of breaking down some barriers within tracking communities in his short time. I mean, he's mended some bridges that had crumbled, and it's we gotta be in it for the right reasons, the right mindset, and
Right.
what is that reason? That reason is to help someone in need.
That's right.
Yep.
It's not about, this is something that Ralph said, it's not about the tracker. It's about the hunter recovering his deer. That's it.
Yep.
But also, along with that, I love it. In a lot of what we talk about doing, there's a little bit of selflessness in that, to where I don't care if somebody else gets the credit. I'll go help a buddy tracker. I'm not giving him a card. I'm not giving him anything. I just go because he needs me.
That's right.
He gets all the credit. I don't take money. I don't care nothing. That's his deal. He just needed me and I'm coming.
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
all.
that's kind of like my situation. In the beginning of the day, I kind of got really discouraged, and you guys had coached me into staying and proceeding with further tests. Just to have somebody there on your side saying, "Hey, dude, let's reset. We're going to find this deer."
You might have thought you had an option of leaving, but you didn't.
And I'll be grateful for that. That's good. But just to have the positivity there, that goes a long way. Even if you don't turn your own dogs loose, just having
Oh yeah.
somebody there.
And we didn't know you at all. I mean, we
Right.
had
Yeah.
met you that day,
Hmm.
and we didn't want to see
Well,
you.
we kind of thought you was crazy with 5 tests
Yeah.
before we met you.
Yeah. It's an addiction. It really is.
Yeah. Hey, Ralph said the other day, yesterday, in fact, we were at dinner and Ralph told his wife, said, it could be worse. I could be out at the bars. What did your wife say, Ralph?
Oh, she always says, "You're obsessed." I said, "Well, just be thankful I'm not obsessed with the bar."
And what was her response?
She said, "Yeah, but the bar closes."
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's funny. That's so hot.
Yeah, and it's but Brandy has been by my side through some of the toughest years of tracking. Sleeping on the side of the road, literally cops pulling up, knocking on our window, checking to see if we're all right because there was no rest area. We just pulled over on the side of the road because we were falling asleep. Sleeping in Walmart parking lots, truck stops, rest areas, gas stations. And I would, just like when we went to Alabama, she was right there with me. We got in the middle of the woods and it was bad. I mean, it was bad terrain. And I called her. I said, "Hey, I'm going to need you to drive around the other side of the block. That we can't go out where we just came through." And she wasn't happy, but she did it. And she stuck by my side. Well, you know, she wasn't sure about us starting this organization, and she's enjoying it now.
Yeah.
Going to the different places, meeting the different, and she's very shy. She may not let that on. She's shy, and she's having a blast. And now my son has trained, my oldest son Dakota has trained his own dog all by himself. He has certified that dog on both the started and season levels. He started helping his offering to help his friends train their dogs, and he recently created his own tracking page. And he has became a judge. He's worked his tail off, and we gave him a hard time because we needed help in Pennsylvania, and we messed up and bought them a virtual reality thing when we were up there, and they were hooked to that. They didn't want to leave it. Well, we finally came to the point we had to have him, and he stepped up and he called me last night. He said, "Dad, I'm ready to do some more judging." That was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here we go. Gene Ferris says, "How many of y'all call other trackers along with sending pictures to other trackers for reassurance? I text many other trackers myself. I even had a tracker to come behind me to reassure the hunter. I do it all the time.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Hold on. So I have 3 apprentices from last year, and they're just jam up people. I mean, the best you can ever meet. And so we're on a chat, and we text each other. I don't know, every day. A little group text, and then especially during hunting season, it was sending pictures of blood. We're all talking about it. They're all talking about it. All looking at it, giving their opinion of what to do, wait times, and all that. It's texting is a great way to get some information quickly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, phone a friend from the field. Well, we'll give everyone a chance to ask some questions. It's we've been on here about an hour and 5 minutes. Well, Ralph's been on here an hour. Um, but if you guys have any questions, it doesn't have to necessarily be on the topic that we're on. Um, any questions tracking related, we'll answer them to the best of our abilities. But Brandon and Jason, I appreciate y'all coming on and clearing the air, sharing some experiences, and um, both good, bad, everything. Just like Brandon, I mean, you text me, you said, "Hey," you text me a picture, said, "Hey, I'm running a little late. I'm out laying lines," and you sent me a picture of you with your shoes on. You come on here and say, "Hey, I screwed up."
Yeah, yeah. Well, I did. I mean, I forgot to stop my track on my Garmin. I'm like, oh man, just little things.
Hey, but that is why we use two forms because
Yeah,
things
yeah,
happen.
yeah, yeah. So,
You know,
but it
it's
is what it is. And that's why we go through the process.
yeah.
So, but I do have one question for Ralph.
Uh-huh.
At the August seminar, are you going to be cooking dinner?
I don't know.
Some more of that stew would be great.
So Matthew Berger asked, "Do you have potential dates for the PA event in August?" I am looking at the 24th right now. That's what I'm shooting for. And I believe that works for you as well, Ralph, right?
Yeah, I don't have nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. So Brandy and Vicky has been on it today trying to find us a location that will work. I'm going to go ahead and start um, putting together because obviously we're going to have some associated costs involved. We're not looking to make money, just looking to help cover some of reimburse some of the expenses. So we're going to look at all that, try to get everything down as minimal as we can. Um, but I'm going to go ahead and block out the August 24th for that event,
Is that a
and
Saturday?
that is a Saturday. And the only thing that might would change that is if we can't find a location with air conditioning to hold this event. Um,
Where are you going to have the event? What area? What town?
I believe we're looking in the Lancaster area. After talking with someone from there today, he recommended that would be a good location, because it would be closer for some people in New Jersey, Maryland, even Virginia, and of course PA. It's not that far from anywhere in PA. It might be further for some people than others, but you can't come up with a perfect location for everyone. But
Right.
he said that seemed to be like it would be a great area, and also like Vicky just said, shopping and tourism for family members. Um, Michael Beck said, I think I'm off for 4 more working days. Um, Perry Lawrence, I'll give you a call as soon as we finish this if you'll be up. Yeah, he got a question for me. Um, Ralph Renee said, "Your cooking is the best."
Yeah.
Hey, that stew, that was my first time ever having that.
That's good.
I grew up a very picky. Well, my dad was a very very picky eater, and we ate the same things every day. You know, Thursday nights we always ate at church. Friday nights was always pizza. I think it was Tuesday nights we had green beans and potatoes. I mean, it was everything was structured, and he was super picky. And since I've been with Brandy, I've ventured out and tried some different things. So that was my first time having that.
Yeah.
It was good.
We love it. I like cooking anyway, so that's cool.
Yeah. Well, we don't have any questions coming in. Anyone, Ralph, Brandon, Jason, any of y'all have any questions?
Good.
No, I'm good.
Well, appreciate everyone coming on, and
Yep.
I believe next week, if things don't change, Jeff Still said he would like to come on and share his experiences.
Cool.
So you guys don't want to miss that one because we will definitely talk about his test lines that got bulldozed. But all right, we'll see y'all soon.
All
All
right.
right. Thank you guys. Y'all have a good one.
You too. See y'all.